All right, I'm gonna go over agricultural haulers and some insurance companies that are phenomenal for you guys. So let's get into it. All right, so right here, I've got my list of insurance companies that are kind of built around the agricultural hauling space. And the agricultural hauling space that I'm referring to is like grain, hay, seed, liquid fertilizer, really fertilizer of any, any option there. And then livestock is kind of the main things I'm going after. So some of these guys will allow you to be hauling double and triple trailers, which if you guys are hauling that, a lot of insurance companies don't like that. If you guys are hauling fertilizer, a lot of those fertilizers can be declared as hazardous. And so a lot of insurance companies don't like that. So I think you're just going to really have a tough time finding insurance. I'll go through my 5 options I chose. Obviously, there's a lot more options on here. You got Continental Western Group, you got Great West, you got et cetera, et cetera. Farm Bureau does it too. But here's my 5 favorite. So I've got Midwest Family Mutual. Midwest Family Mutual, and the reason I put them on here is because almost all the ag haulers are really in the heartland. They're in the Midwest. Midwest Family Mutual is obviously in the Midwest. They have 22 states stretching all the way to Pennsylvania, and they'll go all the way down to Oklahoma. But they'll do livestock, which a lot of insurance companies actually will not do livestock. And I'll get into kind of more of this later here. But they love livestock. They love grain haulers. They will do that stuff all day long. They've got extra coverages for for storing all your guys' stuff at the farm or your terminal. They'll make sure all that stuff is taken care of. They have a single deductible for, all the trucks being stored in one spot, and then that way you're not paying a $2,500 deductible on all 10 trucks stored at the farm. I've actually got a client like this where the exact same thing happened. Progressive turned into 7 claims for 4 trucks, 3 trailers. They got hailed on. Progressive non-renewed them. So in this situation, Midwest Family Mutual would have been a huge help, lowering their deductible and probably keeping them with the same insurance company. Lancer is only built for agricultural haulers. Now, this is not Lancer Insurance Company where you're a new venture and you're hopping on trying to find insurance. Lancer will do the new ventures and all type of stuff, but this is a Lancer program. So what this means is there's a brokerage that we work with called Amwins. They will take Lancer's policy forms. So you're still getting the great coverages that Lancer offers, and then he's changing the rating and the underwriting to it. And so that's why it's a Lancer program. This Lancer program, you have to be hauling a decent amount of either grain, hay, and seed, or liquid fertilizer, really like anything hazardous there. Anything with a tanker that can be considered hazardous. So they're gonna offer broad pollution coverage. Make sure you guys are covered for that. They'll do milk haulers, anything on those lines. So if you're hauling for a dairy, they love that stuff. They said actually their largest claim, I've talked to the guy who built the program and now runs it. He said their largest claim was a $2 million claim for a milk hauler. He was hauling down the road, got hit, milk seeped out, went into a stream. Obviously, the stream took it down, killed a bunch of fish, polluted the water. The milk got into the ground. Even though milk is not hazardous or flammable like gasoline or hazardous like chemicals, it's still not a good thing because pollution in the eyes of insurance is anything where it's not supposed to be. So the city, the state, whatever, is still going to require you to go in there and take the milk out of the soil to not contaminate it. 10-4 is phenomenal. They love this stuff. They're fairly picky on the cargo that they will take. They really just insure actually a lot of agricultural haulers. Their rates can get really, really low. They've got some of the broadest coverages out there. Their cargo form is really built for agricultural haulers all around. They are awesome. Now the Hartford is not going to do your whole package, but if you guys are a livestock hauler, you may know the Hartford. The Hartford is going to have the best coverage basically out there. And I'm not saying for sure they're number one, but they are looked upon as one of the best for livestock haulers. And the reason I say this is because if you are a livestock hauler and you're with Progressive, for example, you get into an accident and let's say some of the cattle are injured, some of them are dead, whatever the case is, right? There's going to be a loss on the injured and dead cattle. Progressive's policy forms, this is not just Progressive, this is Progressive, Geico, most of these guys out there are going to say, we're not going to pay out for any livestock unless it's dead within 24 hours. So if that thing's got all of his 4 legs broken and he's sitting there not dead when the adjuster arrives on scene, you're not getting any coverage for it with the basic insurance companies. The Hartford will increase your limits for higher value livestock, like breeding cattle, anything on those lines, and they're gonna pay for the crippling. So that way you guys are not out of pocket. If you're hauling, I don't know, and 10 lives or 10 cattle go out there and get their legs broken and they're dying, you're actually gonna get coverage for it. So there's that. Northland is extremely picky on this stuff. If you got any claims, they're not gonna take a dumping operation, but they also are looked upon as one of the best livestock haulers out there, and they are loved for anything hauling agricultural. So I'm just gonna go back to the Hartford here real quick. So the Hartford 2 is not only gonna be great in the lines of getting better coverage, but also just in the aspects of, I actually have heard this probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, where the broker will request that you have the Hartford. Because the broker knows they're covered, you know you're gonna be covered, and everybody's happy because you're gonna be getting more loads. Broker's gonna love you. They're gonna know they're covered. Everything on those lines, right? So I mean, again here, these guys will do more than just agricultural haulers. Some of them will, but they're really built around agricultural haulers hauling, again, milk, fertilizer, grain and seed, whatever the case is. Some of the perks of these guys, like I mentioned here, these guys have some of the broadest pollution coverage out there. You're gonna be covered in all that aspects. Even if you're not hauling something that's hazardous, like a tanker, whatever the case is, you're still gonna want pollution coverage, because if your truck tips over, gets into an accident, diesel spills out, you can still be sued for that like crazy. So you'll be sitting pretty good there. And a lot of people don't even realize all the exposures they have with pollution. I've got a guy hauling ice cream and he has pollution coverage. Because if he gets in an accident, the ice cream hops out there, is on the road or out in the grass, whatever the case is, it's gonna melt, and then it's gonna get in the ground, and he's gonna be ordered by the city to go clean that up. You're gonna get the better livestock coverage. Exactly what I was talking about. These two absolutely, love livestock, love livestock, love livestock. Have some of the best livestock coverage out there, because again, you don't want to be stuck with a death-only policy like 95% of livestock haulers are. So you're gonna get better rates too. Midwest Family Mutual, I've gone out there and seen them multiple times. I have them, obviously, but most of the guys that are with Midwest Family Mutual almost never move. I've talked to their agents. They say they can't beat their rates. I see them taking business from Continental Western Group, from National Interstate, from Great West, all the big dogs. They're taking that business and they're keeping it there because almost nobody can touch the rates. I'm actually yet to hear anybody beat anybody's rates for or beat Midwest Family Mutual's rates. Usually if they're leaving, it's because they're getting non-renewed. You're gonna get a low risk program too, and what I mean by that is these guys are not Progressive, Geico. These insurance companies, like the Lancer program, for example, this whole product is built around agricultural haulers. They have in their underwriting guidelines for me, when I submit business to them, they want the top 20% of trucking companies out there. So if you got a bunch of rinky-dink drivers and you got claims like crazy and you're just hoping to get by to tomorrow, these guys are not going to take you. Now, some of these guys on the list may take you, most likely not. But the thing about that is when you're in the top 20%, you're not going to be paying for the bottom 80%, especially the bottom 20%, like Progressive, Geico. And I'm not bashing anybody here. Some of those guys are really good. They'll have their time and place, and sometimes they are the cheapest. But with these guys, they're going to have a higher percentage chance of being the cheapest because they're taking on the best risk. So I'll see these guys get down to $4,000 a truck. He tells me that they'll get down to $3,000 a truck because I know that agricultural haulers hauling grain and et cetera are typically be a lot cheaper than your reefer haulers, your hazmat haulers, anything on those lines, right? These guys get down to $5,000 a truck, no problem. And then I just got some other stuff on here too. I mean, like, you're gonna get rental reimbursement. These guys are not gonna be shorted on coverage. You're gonna be able to get rental reimbursement. So if the truck's down, you got a replacement in the meantime. You're gonna get roadside assistance. So that way, if you're stranded on the side of the road, towing bills can be extremely expensive. So that way you're not paying the $5,000, $10,000 out of pocket. they're going to give you roadside assistance to bring it to a shop. These guys are going to offer basically any line of coverage you need. Now, the Hartford's only doing cargo for you, but they're really dang good at it. These guys will do all your lines of coverage. These guys will do your work comp, your property, your general liability, your umbrella, whatever the heck you can think of. Northland has one of the best general liability forms in the nation. This is not auto liability, this is general liability, your general operations, not driving. But you can still be sued, especially if you're a big fleet or anything on those lines. For anything on those lines, whether it's advertising, whether it's something that happens after you deliver the load. So these guys are going to offer broad coverage. They're going to be more selective on who they're going to write or who they're going to give insurance to, and a lot of them are going to have a program built around agricultural haulers. Now, I'm not going here and just saying all these guys are fantastic, there's nothing wrong with them, whatever. If you are with Progressive, you absolutely have to leave, and I'm trying to sell you. The only reason I'm saying this is because these guys really do have programs built for agricultural haulers. Again, anything from milk hauling to grain hauling. So I just want to make everybody aware of this. If you guys are interested in hearing more on it, feel free to message me, feel free to call me, whatever the case is. I want to keep making videos like this, so please like and subscribe. But yeah, this is what agricultural haulers look like, some of the perks along with it, and some of the insurance companies that do really well with it. Thanks for watching.